Good evening. I'm Tiziana Tedesco, Deputy Director of Eco Canada. On behalf of our Chamber and our Board of Directors, I would like to welcome you back to Great Italian Wines. This event is part of the True Italian Taste Project, which is promoted and financed by the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, carried out by Assocamere Estero in collaboration with the Italian Chambers of Commerce abroad to strengthen and to protect the authentic Italian products. True Italian Taste is part of the Extraordinary Italian Taste program. We're so excited to be back tonight after the great success of the first series of masterclasses that took place in February, March, and April. There will be one more class on September 16th, so make sure to register for that one as well. Guiding us through this class tonight and on September 16 will be Sandra Colosimo, who did such an amazing job during the past series. Sandra is a certified sommelier with the renowned Italian Association of Sommeliers, and she has brought her expertise to Cavinona, Terroni's exclusive wine agency, where she works as sales and marketing manager. But before we let Sandra tell us all about Fiano di Avellino and Primitivo, I would like to remind you of our upcoming events. Next week, Tutti a Tavola online cooking experiences with Chef Roberto Fracchioni every Tuesday until the end of July, so starting again on June 29th. And always in July, follow our new series, Italy, A Place to Go, an overview of the Italian economic system, innovation and technology, architecture and design, tourism and culture, taking place at lunchtime on July 5th, 7th, 8th, and 15th. So keep following us. We look forward to welcoming you all in the upcoming weeks. We also invite you to consider becoming a member of Eco Canada, taking advantage of our special offer of $200 until the end of the year as we celebrate our 60th anniversary. It will be greatly appreciated as your personal contribution to our program of events. You will get more details on this in the chat in an hour communication. Now it's time for me to turn the spotlight to Anna Mamoliti of Cavinona, Terroni exclusive wine agency, to say a few words and to let you know about Cavinona's offer tonight, especially for you. So thank you, Cavinona, and thank you, Sandra. Thank you especially to all of you who have connected with us tonight for another interesting class of Southern Italian wines. Grazie mille.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Tiziana, and thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. This is our fourth master class with Eco Canada, and I cannot speak enough about all the amazing work that they do to bringing Italian products and promoting Italian culture to the Canadian market. So on behalf of Terroni and Cavinona, it's a pleasure and an honor to collaborate with Eco Canada and to be a part of the True Italian Taste. It's always great to work with like-minded people who share the same philosophy, which is to say that we bring the best of the best from Italy to offer our customers in the Canadian market. Cavinona was formed in 2006 as Terroni's exclusive wine agency, and as Tiziana already mentioned, it was formed as our commitment to providing and introducing the Canadian market with many different Indigenous grape varieties that Italy has to offer. Something that we were not finding here in the Canadian market back then. We knew that they existed and we wanted to bring them to the market, and that's exactly what we did. We're pleased to say that today we represent over 70 producers throughout the peninsula, and over 250 labels. We seek out small wine makers who are driven by commitment and quality to authenticity to offer the best selection of Italy's vast range of Indigenous grapes varieties in Ontario. I would like to thank Corrado Paina, Director of Eco Canada, Tiziana, Deputy Director, Astrid Durzo, and the many others at Eco Canada for sharing their commitment to Italy and for all their efforts in making this evening happen. Tonight, we are going to the region of Puglia, one of my favorites, one of my favorite regions, Primitivo, that we will be tasting, and to Campania. And finally, a thanks to all our participants this evening. We truly hope you enjoy this presentation and you have some takeaways this evening on these very two important wines from Puglia and Campania. If you are interested in any of these wines, we're happy to offer a 10% discount using the code ECOJUNE, ICCO June. And we are happy to offer that through our Cavinona website, cavinona.com. So without further ado, I would like to present my friend and colleague, Sandra Colosimo, who will take over and lead this wonderful masterclass. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Hello, buonasera a tutti. It's great to be back for this fourth class since we met in April. Things are definitely looking up since the last time we met. Summer is here, the patios are open. Italy's undefeated in the European soccer championships. So, and traveling is becoming a reality. So it's just great to be back. And tonight we're going on holiday and we're visiting the splendid South to two vibrant and captivating regions. We're going to Campania and Puglia, and we're exploring the great native varieties of Fiano, specifically Fiano di Avellino and Primitivo. The two wines we have are from Guido Marcella, and this is a Fiano di Avellino DOCG 2018, and we have a fantastic Primitivo Salento Rosso IGT by Carvigna in Puglia. So I know some of you, I'm just thinking of the antipasto plate. I know some of you are outside. You've written me, you're set up near the pool or on your patio, enjoying the outdoors. So sit back, and for those of you who've got your antipasto, special antipasto platter, which was produced specifically for the event by Spaccio, which is Terroni's central kitchen. So we have some prosciutto crudo di Parma, DOP. We have some, we're going to the south, so we have some soppressata piccante, a bit hot. We have some grana padano DOP. Again, the DOP products, they're a guarantee. They are a golden seal as to the authenticity of the product, where it's come from and where it's produced. We also have some Cerignolo olives from the region of Puglia, Foggia area to be specific. And we have some wonderful fior di latte, which is a typical product of Campania. And you also have, I don't have, but you also have some focaccia barese from Bari with tomato, olives, and rosemary. And this is, the focaccia was produced by our head baker, Luca Rotatori at Spaccio. And if you haven't ever been to our location, please visit. It is our central kitchen where we produce all our breads and pastries and pastas. And then on the front, we have a storefront where you can purchase a lot of our products, and we have a wide selection of DOP cheeses and meats, etc. And we also have a patio. So get your glasses, get comfortable, make sure your white is a bit chilled. Mine, I could tell by the glasses, is warming up, but for those of you who can keep it chilled, please do so. Okay, so I think we're ready. Grab your glasses, sit back, enjoy. Feel free to write your comments about the wines. So we're starting with we're going to Fiano to Avellino and the great variety of Fiano. Fiano, for many people, perhaps is lesser known, but it is considered one of the great white grape varieties. So that's, and it's quite historical, and there's a lot of history there. So Campania, where are we? I think for most of you, Campania is quite familiar. And if I speak about Capri, Sorrento, Amalfi Coast, Positano, Ravello, Vesuvio, we're in southwestern Italy, surrounded by Lazio, Molise, Puglia, and Basilicata. So there are 5 provinces, and it's just important because in a glass of wine, the reason why we do a lot of this is it's because as we've done our various classes, you know, each region is so unique, and the terroir of each region is so unique. And so what's in a glass, we need to go back to the territory, look at the geography, look at the landscape, look at the traditions, the weather. And so this is what we're doing here, and this is why it's important. There's a lot of culture and tradition that goes into these glasses of wine. Okay, so we got 5 provinces. We've got Naples, which is the capital, Caserta, Benevento, Avellino, and we'll look at the map just to give you an idea. So we're not on the coast, but we're a bit more inland, but we'll see on the map. The islands, we've got Capri, Ischia. We also have some wonderful wines from Ischia and Biancolello. We'll save that for another class. Procida. Procida is an interesting island, lesser known, great to visit. And for those of you who are planning to visit the area, Procida has been named the cultural capital of Italy for 2022. And so this is a big accomplishment because this is the first time an island has been nominated. So just a little side note, we got the Vesuvio, Campania. We have a history of volcanic soils. We have Campi Flegrei. So there's Mount Epiomeo in Ischia. So this is an important factor in terms of, you know, wine growing in the soils. Mediterranean climate, I think we all know that, very hot. We're definitely in the south between Campania and Puglia. Okay, so just briefly, just to give you an idea of where we're located. So as you can see on the coastline, you've got Napoli, Naples, Caserta, but the point I want to show you is the Avellino area, and a lot of the winemaking is concentrated between Benevento and Avellino. Okay, Campania viticulture. Okay, it is among the oldest wine regions in Italy, and just to give you a quick snapshot of the area, there's a wide variety of indigenous grapes. Over 24,000 hectares are cultivated. Campania is, here we have percentages, but let's just say half and half. It's hilly and mountainous area. And so that's important to note. The production is, majority is red 60% and white 40%. A big wine producing area. We have 4 DOCGs. Again, for those of you maybe who weren't in our previous classes, a DOC is a denomination of origin, controlled and guaranteed. Then we have the DOCs of denomination of origin controlled. So it's basically a pyramid. And so with the DOCG at the top, the DOC, and then the IGT. However, please note that that does not always indicate in terms of a level of quality. It's just, there's different, you have to, you know, be in certain classifications before moving over to the next one. And some well-known producers prefer to stay in IGT because you're able to change maybe the varieties or have a little bit more flexibility. So, but you can see by the numbers there, it's a major wine producing area. 1.4 million hectoliters produced roughly per year. Okay, so here we have the Fiano grapes. Okay. Fiano goes right back to Roman times, and basically documentation of vine growing and winemaking dates back to the 12th century. Let's see what, sorry. I'm sorry, it's a little bit of distance. Okay, what's important to know about Fiano is that in the mid 20th century, so around 1970s, Fiano was almost extinct. And it was just randomly grown in the area. And fortunately, a gentleman by the name of Antonio Mastro Berardini, back then in sort of in the 40s, he started to collect Fiano grapes from the area. And he managed to produce about 30 bottles. From there, the situation grew and there's a little bit more attention. And he was able to sort of the growth of Fiano came back. But it's just an example of how these old varieties, it's a success story that if they're not given the care and attention, we can lose them, and in this case was almost extinct. Fiano, they believe, was part of the original Roman wine and called Appianum. And the name comes from the word in Latin translates into bees, because of the high sugar content of the pulp of Fiano. Even till today, you can see a lot of bees around the vineyards. And so this is a common, you can see a common thing about Fiano and the high sugar content. Okay. It's also known, the best known wine is Fiano di Avellino DOCG. Okay. Fiano characteristics. It does very well in Avellino. It is home in Avellino. It thrives in warm, dry conditions. It favors high altitudes and volcanic soils. And we'll see with Guido, Marcella, we're at definitely very high altitudes. Thick yellow, green skinned, usually harvested in October. So it's late in ripening. It's low yielding. So that's another factor. You have to be very careful in the vineyard because it's not an easy one to produce. And as I was saying, the naturally high sugar content. Okay, Fiano di Avellino DOCG. The requirements, Fiano, for the DOCG regulations, Fiano must be a minimum of 85%. In this case, by the way, it's 100% Fiano. And then if it is 85%, the authorized varieties for the balance, or the 15%, can be Greco, Code di Volpe, Trebbiano, Toscano. So again, as you can see, regulations are always very specific. Riserva, minimum of 12 months, starting from November 1st. Keep that in mind, because for Riserva, you age 12 months. And with this particular white wine with Guido Marcella, we're aging for almost 2 years. So that gives you an idea of just the complexity of the wine. Okay, so in the Avellino area, just to give you a geographic idea, there are 4 main areas: Lapio, Sumonte, Monte Fredane, and the hilly range east of Avellino. They thought that Fiano originally originated in Lapio, and I just wanted to mention Sumonte because this is the wine with the location here, which is one of the best areas in producing Avellino, in producing Fiano today. I'm looking at the map. Okay, so that the map is here just to give you an idea. Avellino, you've got Lapio, sort of northeast, and I just want to show you Sumonte, which is northwest. So the reason why sort of this map, and just to give you a general idea, of course, it's just that when it comes to wine, and the area is very important, and if it's in a higher land, the type of soils, etc. So that area is it produces Fiano, but it varies from one area to another. Okay, and it has different characteristics in what you can expect from the wine and the flavors. Okay. General map here of the DOCGs and the DOC. So you can see, as I was saying, Campania is a fantastic wine producing region. And so we've got Avellino there in the middle, sort of inland. Don't forget the Apennines run just inward east from Naples. So you could just to give you an idea. Also, we won't get into it now, but you can see the DOCGs, and there's a Taurasi, which is known for Aglianico production. And so it's a major wine producing region. And not only, it's a beautiful, we have lots of beautiful coast and sea line and beautiful cities and food. Sumonte, this is the area that we're talking about. It's where Guido Marcella comes from. And we're high up in the mountains of about, the vineyards are 650 meters high, but we're over like almost at about 800 meters or so up. The wine characteristics. So this is what can you expect from a Fiano? Again, when we talk about general wine characteristics, they are main characteristics, but then from wine to wine, that's where the difference is, right? You're gonna be getting some aromas or some flavors, and depending on the style, if it's been aged, does it come out in 3 months, 6 months, or is it aged for 2 years? So these are the kinds of things. So straw yellow, beautiful color, transparent. Fiano has tense aromas, a beautiful bouquet. Tropical fruits is very common. Pineapple, peach, golden apple, also green apple, pears, citrus. Citrus is very important, and hazelnut is very characteristic. So keep those in mind. And so when we get to the wine tasting, we'll see what we get from this vintage, from this producer. Okay, so balanced acidity. Fiano is very interesting because we're talking about a warm climate. It's a white grape. We're not talking about northern climates, but it has a lot of sugar and converts therefore to alcohol, but it also maintains a very good acid content, and this gives it a wonderful balance. There's something characteristic of Fiano to keep in mind when we taste it. Good weight and texture on the palate. Fiano, it's exactly that. You get a nice weight. It's not light. It's not colored water. And Fiano is a complex wine. It's refined, and it has excellent aging potential. And there's a wonderful story behind this particular producer. So here we are, Guido Marcella, and you could see, as my opening picture, I just wanted to show you, it's his vineyard, but you could see the back, you could see the mountains. We're way up here, so it's just a beautiful location. So Guido Marcella, we can move on to the next, and then we'll talk about the producer. So as I said, it's a 28 Fiano di Avellino DOCG. Just quick, again, I think I mentioned 100% Fiano. The altitude of the vineyards are 650 meters above sea level. The soil, clay and rocky, and you'll see by the pictures we have, very rocky, good clay, perhaps also some volcanic compounds over the years have built up. Alcohol content. This is also very interesting. Both these wines, this is 13.5%. So you can see it is for white wine, a very significant alcohol, very good alcohol content. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of sugar produced in Fiano grapes. So during fermentation, you're able to get a higher alcohol level. Vinification and aging, it's on fine leaves for 12 months in stainless steel tanks and aged an additional 12 months before release. So as I said, this is a 2018. This is their stand. This is not their Reserva. And so this is a very special wine and also producer. Okay. Okay, so there we go. So this is Guido Marcella. Guido Marcella founded the company in 1995, and he was working with a family construction business, and he had a passion to get into the wine business, and he had a passion for the outdoors and nature. So he bought some land in Sumonte. Smart guy. When I went to Italy in 1995, I didn't have that vision. He had a vision. And at the time, it wasn't an important wine growing area. And so he built this, he started growing his vineyards, and he had this vision that he wanted to, he released his white wine, the Fiano, 12 months after harvest, so a year. And people basically thought he was crazy. He says it. And because at the time in 1995, he was telling me that the wines were actually released, like if the harvest was, October, September, he says even by the end of the year, like by December, rather than sort of the next spring. So people thought, this is why, it seemed like an old wine, or why, he wasn't accepted. It just wasn't accepted. It was frowned upon. And he actually admitted that 4 years afterwards, he almost lost his business because it wasn't going. Then finally, I says, well, what changed? And he says, well, finally, when you gave people free wine, they started to taste it. And then he just got highly high, and then it just went up from there because he was recognized for his new approach, and he's a revolutionary approach. White wine that's kept 12 months in a bottle, in a steel tank, and then aged again and aged in a bottle. That's quite something. And so what can you expect from a wine? A lot of complexity. Guido, his philosophy, I said, what makes the difference? And he says, his care is in the vineyard, and it's all about the quality of the grapes and the vinification process. And so let's just try it and tell me what you think. Okay. So the color is a beautiful straw yellow. It's luminous. Now, I said it has a good alcohol content. It's been aged for 2 years, and you can see a very nice viscosity when you turn it around. Okay, so let's see what we get from the nose. You can get it right away. It's intense. It has a nice complexity. What I get right away, I get pineapple, honeydew melon. Do you guys get any of that? A little bit of pear. Don't be shy about actually putting your nose right in and concentrating, because that's the way to build up sort of the recognition of the different aromas. I'm also getting a slight smokiness coming up. Okay, So let's give it a taste. Don't be shy when tasting the wine, because when we're eating and drinking, we just take a sip and with our food. When you want to really just take, don't feel shy, swish it around so that it gets to all the parts of your mouth and the sensory saliva glands. It's a wonderful, I get freshness, nicely balanced, and you get the sapidity, I get a certain saltiness, and I get citrus. I get lots of citrus. You can actually feel it here. As I said, also the alcohol content, it's an elegant wine. It's 13.5%, but you don't feel it. It's beautifully balanced. It's elegant. And it has a wonderful persistence. And it's just a easy wine to pair, but it does have a beautiful complexity. So with a complexity, you can pair it with even grilled chicken or pasta, vegetable dishes. What I think about is also seafood. So even though we're not on the Amalfi Coast, but this would be really nice with some seafood and calamari. So I don't know if you have any questions.
Hi, Sandra. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, perfect. So I do have a question for you, but I wanted to let you know we did receive a couple of comments when you were doing the smelling at the beginning. And some people were saying that the wine has almost an oily texture like beeswax, and it's very fresh.
It's very good. That's exactly it. It does have a beautiful freshness, and it has a good viscosity or the waxiness about it. Absolutely. Any other comments in terms of flavors?
We also received, somebody said that he can smell peach, golden apple, citrus, and some nutty notes.
Yes, the nutty notes. Yes, that's very characteristic. The almond, for sure. Absolutely. Great.
Okay, we don't have any more comments so far.
And it also has a nice body. Fiano is not, it could be sort of to medium to fuller, depending on the style of the production. So I'm still tasting it. It has a wonderful weight in your mouth. So as a white wine, it has substance. It's just clean, it's precise, it's produced with great care. And this area, this terroir, is one of the best for cultivating Fiano. It's hilly terrain. You're getting a lot of sunshine. The winds. You're also getting the diurnal temperature differences between day and night, so you maintain the acidity. Yeah, it's a wonderful expression.
During your presentation, you spoke about lees. Can you explain what lees are when it comes to vinification and aging?
Okay, yes. So it's left on the lees for 12 months. And so the lees are the dead yeast cells after the fermentation. So, there is some filtering where you get the sort of the more, the dirty, the initial straining or filtering of the dirtier yeast, but it's the natural, it's the dead yeast after the fermentation, and it stays in the steel tanks, and it adds this waxiness, it adds more complexity and flavors. So that's what that is. And so still today, and talking with Grape, he says, still today, his wine comes out after 2 years, and a standard white wine doesn't. So he's still one of the few that it's very particular. And if you also think from an investment perspective, It's also, costlier. And so this is what I love about these producers, and we'll see with Carvina as well, is that they're people who are just so dedicated just to the passion of winemaking and so authentic. And we're not talking about commercial wine here. Anyway, so fish, white meats, shellfish. I hope you enjoy it. It's elegant and refined.
Yeah, we have received some comments that it's a very good wine with a very good structure. So I encourage those people that are trying the wine alongside with us, please do send us your comments, what you think about the wine as Sandra goes along. And I think for now, we can leave it at that. For the first part, we can add some more questions at the end, and we can move on to the second wine.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. So we have a white and a red, obviously two very different wines, but the story, the people behind it, it's very similar. It's about passion and quality wine production. So we're going to Puglia. Don't we wish we were getting on a plane? We've heard about Puglia more and more. Of stars going. I think it's just been in the news a lot more. It has a bit of everything. Puglia is blessed. It's a gem. It has a rich history, a vibrant culture, spectacular landscape, and stunning beaches. We'll be looking at the Salento region, which is the tip of Puglia, which is particularly just outstanding. It's just an abundance of natural beauty, food, and wine. Puglia produces about 40% of olive oil production, for example, for Italy. It also is known for its bread production. And of course, it's wine. So a lot of agriculture, and that's the same for both these companies. Lots of agriculture, and what I say, like a lot of these regions, I can't say, Campania and Primitivo, and in Italy, I say, it's an elevation and stimulation of your senses. That's for sure. So Puglia, it's bordered by Molise to the north, Campania to the west, and Basilicata, which we did the last time, to the southwest. So we're talking about, yes, the heel of the boot. And so it's so special because it's a peninsula within a peninsula, because it's got the Adriatic Sea and also the Ionian Sea. And we'll take a look at the map. 6 provinces, and Bari is the capital. And then you have the combination of Barletta, Andria, and Tirani. Brindisi, Foggia, Lecce. Lecce is a spectacular city. It's considered the Florence of the South. It has some of the best Baroque in Italy. When we think of also, you see pictures of Puglia, you think of limestone, whitewashed towns, and beautiful crystal blue waters. It has the longest coastline of Italy, so I know we're all ready to take off. 800 kilometers of coastline, historical sites, as I mentioned, and picturesque, the whitewashed towns. It's a land of agriculture, and like I said, they're leaders in wine and olive oil production. So I know we're all ready to take off. So here we have, just to give you a quick glimpse. So you can see we're basically just going east we were in Campania, and we've gone over to Puglia, and the wine that we're tasting is from the northern Salento region, which is in the south. Which we'll take a look at. So yeah, we're definitely in the deep south. So here's just to give you an idea of Ostuni. These are some beautiful places in Puglia. We have Ostuni, which is near our producer Carvina, and we also have these trulli. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the trulli. They're the old stone huts from 17th, 18th century, and now they've become like a tourist attraction. They're spectacular. They have this cone-shaped kind of roof. and they were traditional dwellings, and you find a lot of them in Albarello, and they think, one of the things is they started to build these because of taxes. They could have easily they could easily take them down. Or another theory was that this area of Albarello, for example, there was a lot of forest at the time, so they started building these very simple dwellings, and so you can actually rent homes to stay. So the Puglia viticulture Puglia is the second highest wine producing region of Italy after Veneto. And then after, I think Puglia years ago was number one. And it's definitely an important wine region. It's second highest. And then following, there's Sicily and Emilia Romagna. So lots of wine production, 9.8 million hectoliters. There's just to give you some numbers, and 87,000 hectares of vineyards. Now, this is what's important. Puglia, new era of quality versus quantity. Years ago, in the, let's just say 70s, in the mid 1900s, Puglia was known for their bulk wine production. So Puglia produces some wonderful reds, for example, with great alcohol content, with great pigmentation, and use and send up north to France and to other parts of Europe to blend with other red wines. Then in the 1990s, what's very interesting is to know is that the European Union promoted, there was to kill off vineyards. There was an incentive. They would get money, again, just because of, I think they're trying to sort of decrease the volume of plants. A lot of vineyards were pulled out in the 1990s because of the EU incentive to do so. And Primitivo was one that suffered the most, actually. And but now, so once that era, afterwards, from like 2000 and so on and forward, it's about quality wine production and winemakers with attention to the quality of the wine and less bulk. The landscape. Now, this is a very interesting. Puglia is the flattest region of Italy. It's 65% red production and 35% white production. Again, here we have a major wine producing region with DOCG4 at 29 DOCs and 6 IGT. And this is a Salento Rosso IGT, which is an important area for the Primitivo. It's a sunny, we know, very sunny, hot, dry region. And very important are the Mediterranean winds coming from both coasts. So that's very important in particular. Okay. Okay, so Primitivo, the origins were uncertain. They believe as early as the 8th century BC, before Greek colonization. Also, I wanted to mention, which is also very important, remembering also Puglia and the important ports. And for any of you who've gone from Italy to Greece and the port of Brindisi, for example, it's very close. The word derives from primativus in Latin, excuse the pronunciation, or primaticcio in Italian, which translates to early one. So it refers to the fact that it's an early ripening grape, not that it's a primitive grape that we would think Primitivo. It is home to Puglia, for sure. The majority of Primitivo production is in Puglia, and we'll get to, it's also produced under another name that we know in California, and we'll get to that. It's the most famous variety of the region. 12,000 hectares cultivated. Yes, Primitivo is among the top 10 most planted red varieties. 97% of Primitivo is produced in Italy, so clearly very important. And it's a specialty in the Salento region, which we're trying. And also the Primitivo di Manduria is also quite well known. And there is a DOCG, but it's the sweet version, just to take note, as well as Gioia del Colle. Okay, and now the Zinfandel, that's what I wanted to say. Primitivo, as you know, most of you probably know, it is in fact, for many years, it was debated whether in fact it was the same grape, but Zinfandel from California and from other states, but primarily California, is in fact, with DNA testing, they've confirmed that it is the same grape. It is also the same grape as the, I'm not going to pronounce, you can see it there, the Croatian grape. And so another theory is that it definitely came from, they think, from Croatia. Okay. I just also want to mention that 90% of the bottled wine is exported out of Italy. That's a big number for Puglia, considering that Southern Italy exports less than 10% of its wine. I just want to mention that. So here's a map, and just to show you the Salento, these are the IGTs of Puglia. And the main point here is just to show you we're going near Brindisi on the Adriatic coast, a bit inland, but we're very close to the coastline. And this is where Carvigna is, or the Salento Rosso, it's the purple. It covers Brindisi, Lecce, and Taranto. That whole area is just a wonderful area to visit, in particular. All of Puglia is. Anyways, okay, so the Primitivo grape, as you can see, it's a very dark blue grape. It is high in anthocyanins. Basically, that's the word for high in pigmentation. So these are the kinds of things, you know, we looked at Nebbiolo, we looked at Sangiovese, that perhaps not so high in anthocyanins. Primitivo, you can tell by the color, it's deep and dark, and we'll get to that. Okay. Primitivo can be fussy to cultivate in the vineyard and in the cellar. And this is so important just because it's also just to note that to make good wine, it requires that attention. And because it is fussy, it is prone to getting diseases, and it's a bit finicky. It also accumulates a lot of sugar. And so it translates to usually a very good alcohol content. Grows best in, not surprisingly, in dry, hot areas. Okay, so here we are to the wonderful company of wine producer of Carvigna. And you can see we're going to be tasting their Primitivo 2017 Salento Rosso. So the appellation Salento Rosso EGT, Upper Salento near Carvigno, Brindisi. This is 100% Primitivo, which is fantastic. Height is 70 meters above sea level. The soil, very special, tufaceous and calcareous. The alcohol content, pay attention, 14.5%. And I shouldn't say this, well, I won't mention it, but we'll see. We'll see what you think about the alcohol content. Maceration, so what is maceration? Maceration is a skin contact for 20 days, aged in French oak for a minimum of 9 months, and spends an additional 6 months in the bottle before being released. Serving temperature 18 degrees is ideal. It's always better to make sure it's around 18 degrees, but make sure with the hot weather it doesn't get too hot, because then it just becomes a little bit flat. Okay, so Carvinia. Carvinia was founded by Pepe Di Maria in early 2000. It is located in Alto Salento, as I mentioned, near Brindisi. And this area is home to Italy's best Primitivo and also Negro Amaro wines. Cavinona has very proudly imported Carvinia wines for over 10 years now. And the wines that we bring from Carvinia, import from Carvinia, have become some of our most highly requested producers and wine. As I mentioned, it was founded in the early 2000s. That's Mr. Pepe Di Maria. The Carvinia farm and vineyards surround what you saw as the historic 16th century Masseria. It's a beautiful building from the 16th century, Masseria Pezza d'Arena, once belonging to the Dentice di Frasso, the princes, I principi di Dentice di Frasso. It is a small company. Here's Mr. Pepe Di Maria, recognized for its quality wines and have received numerous awards and recognitions. Before, I just wanted to say, you could see the horse, that's present day. And they do that with the horse-drawn cart because it's less damaging or pressure on the soil. So they use such important measures just to maintain the quality. There was also, can we see a few more pictures? I just wanted to mention the picture where you can see some grapes on the ground, and that's called diradamento. And they do that, I'm sorry, thank you so much. So that's the masseria, and you can see the vineyards and the olive trees that surround the winery. Okay, the vineyards. They also, and then prestigious awards like the Gambero Rosso, the 3 Calice Award. And they also teamed up years ago. It's a wonderful, okay, here, this one, Diradamento, you could see now what they're doing. So Primitivo can produce quite a bit of grapes. What they do, and this is about quality, is carefully select and cut and trim, take away the bunches that either that are not ideal, and to give quality but not quantity to the plant. This is very important, to choose the best grapes or bunches that will give you the best results in the winemaking. So if there's any sort of green, because they do that, they can also mature at different rates, etc., etc., etc. Their work is very meticulous, and their soils, the hot climate, gentle breezes from the location is just a splendid location. As well, we'll get to the wine tasting very quickly. We have a very special relationship with Carvinia. You can say a marriage. Definitely a wonderful partnership, and really a marriage between Elena Di Maria. Now, if you're having a barbecue, Primitivo is great, between Elena Di Maria and Cosmo Mamolini, who's the owner of Terroni. And Elena Di Maria, that's her family estate. So it's a family affair, and they're married. So just a little side story. We have a romantic story. Okay, so let's get to the wine. I hope you have some food. You've been munching on the antipasto. Okay, so we've got right away, I said Primitivo, good anthocyanins, good pigments. So you could see it's a deep ruby red, not very transparent. It's intense in terms of coloring. So this has spent quite a bit in aging. If you look at the coloring, You look at the rim, the hues on the rim of the glass. When you just tilt your glass a little bit, you could see the tones are garnet, a little bit garnet. If you put white paper behind, it's a lot. You can see the color differences right away. So if it's a younger one, you'll see some purple hues, some violet hues. This is aged for a while. It's been in oak barrels, and so as it ages, the color, the wine can lose color, and you get more of the garnet colors. Okay, so 14.5%. Swirl. You can see just how it swirls in your glass. It has a great weight. You can see the famous legs, the tears, very slow, and a wonderful complexity and viscosity. Okay, so let's get to the aroma. So I'm wondering what you get. Generally, I swirled it for the complexity of the viscosity, but it's good to take a sniff before you twirl. And then swirl. Swirl and swirl. Okay, so I get a lot of, what do you get? You get a lot of dark fruit, dark red fruit, black cherries. Think that we're down south, the sun, the maturation, the high sugar content, which ferments into alcohol. Plums. I get certainly some sweet spices. Some balsamic for sure. What else do you get? I also get a touch of vanilla and a bit of smoke. So let me know what you guys think.
Yes, Sandra,
I
wanted to let you know some of the comments that we have received from the smelling of the wine. So some ripe fruits, blueberry.
Right, blueberry, yeah.
Smoke and spice, and that it's very aromatic.
Yeah, very aromatic. Both wines, these are both very aromatic wines.
And then also very fruity and complex, and it goes well with the fior di latte.
Ah, wonderful. I'm glad you got your antipasto plate too. Yeah, it goes well also with the prosciutto, for sure. Enjoy. Okay, so I think we're ready to, are we ready to try?
Yeah, go ahead and try. I'll let you know if we receive more comments.
Again, take a big enough gulp, swish in your mouth. What do you get? I get a nice warmth, very nice warmth. Not too much, but enough. It's so nice, and it's a 14.5% alcohol content. And the taste is fantastic. It's fresh, but I get bold flavors of the dark fruits. I get the black cherries again. There's a great coherency between what the aromas and the flavor. Sometimes it's not always the case, because sometimes you smell a wine and it tells you one thing, and then the taste maybe gives you something else. But there's a lot of very good coherency. The fruit, if you can taste it, it's not the bright red fruit, but ripe fruit. It's the darker fruits. It's almost like jam you can taste, but not overly jammy. It's not too heavy. That's what's so fantastic about this wine. I can taste some cocoa, and that's like a tertiary aroma. And I don't know if you can get any of the licorice.
Sandra, can you explain a little bit what a tertiary aroma is?
Yes, for sure. So with sorry, I was saying about the tertiary aromas in the nose of the aromas that tertiary aromas are the there's primary, secondary, and tertiary. And tertiary aromas develop in aging, whether that's also in aging in oak barrels as well as in a bottle. So after fermentation, like in fermentation, like you got compounds that come from the fruit, and those are a lot of your primary aromas. And then your secondary come from the vinification process, and then when you age in oak in a bottle, those are tertiary, and they're more complex aromas. And it's the compounds that were produced after fermentation, they change and other new ones develop. And also with the oak, there's some micro oxygenation, we say, and that's why in certain wines we have the oak aging. And oaks are also toasted, and so there's an exchange of flavors there. And like I said, there's some micro oxygenation, and so there are new compounds that are formed, and that's where they come from. I also, if you can, I've been talking, but it has a great persistence. There's a bit of sweet spiciness. It's just very elegant and nicely balanced. And what I love about this wine is that it is a 14.5% alcohol content, but it doesn't feel heavy. You get a wonderful array of aromas and flavors, and it's just not masked with too much of anything else. And that's fantastic. That's about quality and not quantity. And has great structure for sure. Primitivo are bold wines. They're flavorful wines, a wonderful intensity about them. In terms of pairings, I think we saw a picture, fantastic with meat, steak. Oh, I didn't, the tannins, it's very smooth. Sorry, there's just so much about this wine. You get the tannins, you can feel them on your tongue, but they're soft. They're not too abrasive. And it is a very smooth wine. And I wonder if people like it. It's great with meat, like I said, or your sausage, your steak on a barbecue. And it's great.
We did receive some comments, Sandra, that the
Parmigiana. Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to let you know we did receive some comments that the wine is great and that it's really lovely, and it also somebody says it's dry, but there's a sweet entry. We think it's delicious. So there's a lot of good comments.
Yeah, the full body, it's very pleasant. It's dry. It is considered a dry wine, but perhaps the residual sugar is still a little bit, on the higher range, still in the dry range. So it's very nice. I find that it still maintains its freshness. It's a pleasure to drink. So you have to be careful because it is 14.5%, but you don't feel it. And I think that's fantastic.
I just have one question for you. Earlier in your presentation, you spoke about the Zinfandel and the DNA testing. Can you just tell us a little bit more about Primitivo and Zinfandel? Like, how are they different, or how are they not different?
That's a very good question. I think, the DNA testing, that sort of all come up in sort of, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like in the 2000s when all that started in terms of, it's been very handy. Zinfandel is the same wine, and that's been proven. And again, it depends on the winery and how it's produced, but perhaps some of the characteristics that maybe a Zinfandel, you perhaps get a little bit more of the sweetness and the heaviness coming through compared to the Primitivo. It's a little bit softer, but there's some wonderful expressions, of course, of Zinfandel. Again, the terroir makes a huge difference. And so now we're talking about, different countries, different locations. still California's, warm area. So perhaps a bit jammier, and also wine production with Primitivo, and many different wines have changed over the years, where they used to be a lot heavier, Primitivo heavier and jammier, and that's changed. But I think perhaps in the Zinfandel, it's the sweeter, maybe jammier, slightly heavier characteristic.
Thank you, Sandra, as always.
You're very welcome.
A very well executed tasting and class. I'm afraid we are out of time.
We're out of time. Yeah, I just want to say, and I'll let you complete. I just want to say to everybody, have a wonderful summer. Enjoy your wines, and all the best to you. And thank you for attending. And I look forward to seeing everybody in September, and come and visit us as well. Be happy to see you.
Thank you, Sandra. I will just pass the word now to my colleague Tiziana for the last few words. And I will just tell you, Sandra, we can dream together about going to Puglia and to Campania.
We were talking about it, yeah.
Okay, Tiziana, over to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sandra and Cavinona, for this great presentation. Thank you all for following us and our True Italian Taste program. From Eco Canada, Corrado Paina, our Executive Director, Astrid, Monica, Ilaria, and myself, see you for our upcoming events. And see you on September 16, back with great Italian wines. Grazie mille e arrivederci.